Hey guys, I am here with Jackie.
Hi guys.
From Ask Jackie, the YouTube channel and Instagram. I will link all of her stuff below. She's amazing. If you want to learn English, she's got a great program. You can talk about it really quick.
So I have an online English course. We open twice a year. This course is ideal for intermediate level students or above that want to really perfect their grammar, pronunciation, increase your vocabulary, and dominate the phrasal verbs, especially the most common phrasal verbs. It's all online, video classes, audios, flashcards, PDF files. There's a ton of content. If you're disciplined and you're okay doing online courses, worth checking out.
Right on. And you've got a lot of experience with Brazil.
Yes.
She's married to a Brazilian. You lived in Brazil for 10 years.
Yeah,
now living in the States.
Yeah.
We're in Orlando right
Yeah.
now. So I am really excited to be here with Jackie because I have a burning question. And she, I believe, has the answer. She's an expert.
Oh.
And I think she's got videos on her channel about this topic. But what is fluency? What does it mean to be fluent in another language? So I really want to talk about that because it's something I've been struggling with. I think a lot of people who are learning a new language are like, when am I going to get to the point where I can just speak the language? So
yeah, and people throw around that word a lot.
Fluency,
like
fluent.
Fluency, you know, fluency course, or I'm fluent in 10 languages. And then when you think about it, or it took me 4 months to become fluent, you know, people say, and then I always question, like, well, what does it mean to be fluent? Because there's different levels of proficiency. You know, we talk about like when you're a beginner, maybe low intermediate, intermediate, upper intermediate, advanced. And when you look at the word fluent, so, and some people are confused by this. They think that because they had a dream in a foreign language, that means they're fluent, or they haven't had a dream in a foreign language, that means they're not fluent, which is really, has nothing to do with it at all. We end up dreaming related to like our own experiences. So, you know, at least in my case, my dreams, I dream in Portuguese and in English, but it depends on where I am and who I'm with in my dream. So if I'm with someone who speaks Portuguese, I'll dream in Portuguese. If I'm with someone who speaks English, I'll dream in Portuguese. And I think typically that's the case. It kind of depends on what's going on in that dream, not necessarily that your brain is automatically switching to another language. But if we look at the word fluent, it comes from the word like fluid, okay? And if we know what that means, it's like it flows smoothly. So a couple things to consider if you want to know, like, am I fluent or am I not? Are you able to speak that second language in a way that flows, okay? So that is really the definition of fluency, loosely put, okay? It's also important to make sure that you're easily understood. So I always say, like, okay, can you speak in a way without having to stop and think? Which is very normal when we're starting out language learning. We stop and think all the time because we just don't have that fluency yet. We have to stop and conjugate the verbs,
translate.
Like think of the word. It's just we kind of stutter. You know, it's like and it's very frustrating. However, it does get better. You just kind of have to push through that. Even kids do that. So a lot of people think like, oh, well, children, but you have 5 kids. You've got 1 million kids.
Yeah.
I've got 2, not too many. But we even see with our own children when they're learning a language or when they're learning a second language, because our kids speak English and Portuguese, they stutter, they stumble, they have to stop. Like, it's not just they're born and they start speaking. You know, they make mistakes too and trip over their words. They try to search for words as well. So it's not just an adult thing. I think all people learning languages go through that process of having difficulty looking for the words. However, if you don't, if you can speak in a fluid way, that is a good sign. Another good sign is that you can speak about a wide variety of topics. Sometimes people, for example, maybe a guy has given a presentation, but he's given the same presentation so many times that it's practically memorized. So he can be fluent while he's giving that presentation. But during the question and answer section, when people start asking him questions and he has to answer like in a more spontaneous way, you notice like, oh, he's not so fluent. Like he did a really good job on that presentation because he had practiced and trained and did everything he was supposed to do. But at the end, he still had a little bit of a hard time finding the words, creating sentences, things like that. So you have to really be able to talk about a wide variety of topics. Usually we get really good at talking about like our family or our work or whatever it is that we use all the time. But then someone asks us a question about a topic, you know, like, oh, you know, I take my car to the mechanic and they're like, what's wrong with it? I don't know the names of like any car parts. And I don't even know the names of any car parts in English, to be honest with you. True. So I'm like, I don't know. But in those situations, we feel, you know, less fluent. Also, our pronunciation is really important. And I'm not talking about accent. We all have accents. Even in our native languages, we have accents. Like, I have an American accent, you have an American accent. Like, so you should never feel embarrassed about having an accent. I think that's part of who you are. But your pronunciation is really important. And if you're speaking in a way and people, they speak back, they don't look at you and kind of make funny faces, or they don't slow down, like, oh, you need to go there. Like, oh, like I think if people speak to you in a normal way, that is also a good sign. That shows like, well, you gave them a good impression. They obviously think you have a pretty high level of the language. But also a lot of it is just like your general feeling. Like I know we were talking about this before. And some people have an incredible amount of confidence. They think they're way better than they actually are, and other people are the opposite. They, you know, I've met so many people that are like, oh, I just want conversation. I'm already really good. And then I'll start asking the questions and I'm like, they don't know anything yet. You know, you have to start out from the beginning. And other people, which is most of the time, most people undervalue their level. They say like, oh, I'm horrible, I'm a beginner, I just want to start from zero. And I start talking to them, I say, you know a lot. Your level is way higher than you actually think it is. But our confidence comes along with that as well. And I think the higher your fluency, the more confident you feel. And so if you feel like you can switch pretty easily between both languages, you can express yourself pretty easily, not all the time. We all have moments where our brains are just not cooperating, and that happens. But I would say those are the signs of fluency. So
I love that. That's
Thanks.
awesome. That is
Thank
awesome. It's an interesting topic because learning a new language is a journey. And you learn a lot about yourself. I learn about, you know, kind of my learning abilities as an adult. And, you know, my goal setting and really exposing myself to a new challenge and my level of confidence, you know, and here I am. I think I would consider myself an extrovert. In English, I like to talk, I like to have friends, I'm social, but in Portuguese, I'm a different person. And I feel like that's also a level of fluency. Do you feel comfortable and confident enough to spark up a conversation, to jump into a conversation? And I don't feel like I'm there yet. And so my husband and I were talking about, we're always talking about my problems in Portuguese. You know, I'm always wishing I were further along, and I'm on a journey. And the thing that I'm learning now is that I needed to let go of all those expectations I had about where I was going to be at a certain point. And I set these goals. I'm going to be fluent by Christmas. I'm going to be fluent by our grand opening. I'm going to be fluent by the time we do this and that. And those goals in some areas of life help me to be on a time frame, to stick to a schedule, and to set up a plan. I'm one of those people that work good on like a plan that I can follow. And so I feel like if I set that up, I'll hit these goals. And when I didn't hit them, I was totally discouraged and felt like giving up and just like, I'm never going to get this. It's too hard. There's a million things to learn, and that's just impossible, right? So I went through these times where I'm like, you know, I kind of want to give up. But I'm not a quitter. I live in Brazil. I live in Brazil, and I want to speak the language. It's a beautiful language, and I can participate more in the culture and the people, and I really want to do that. But one of the main reasons why I do not quit is because I think that it is very important that I'm an example to my children.
I was going to say that.
Do not ever, life is a journey. And there are many things that we need to do that are hard, that feel like you're doing some massive language learning. And whether that's getting through college, starting a business, working on your marriage, like, you don't quit because it's hard.
Yes.
And so when those things in life get hard, I want to teach my kids that you don't give up.
Yeah.
You keep going, you keep striving, you keep learning and growing. And so for me, the process of learning Portuguese was more about like learning who I am and just embracing that process and learning patience and appreciating the struggle and going through it. Going through a hard thing, climbing that mountain. And, you know, I totally hit the wall. I cried. I'm like, I'm never studying Portuguese again and I'm done. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I am learning a little, you know, and I'll have these little experiences where I meet a mom at the pool and I totally like have a conversation. I know who she is, what she does, about her kids, and I go away feeling like I had a great moment. I can totally do this. And then like the next day I'm like confused. And we go back and forth. And so I'm like, this is a part of that struggle. And it's taken me a long time to just accept that.
Right.
Just be like, okay, this is a part of learning. And I need to just be patient because that's my other part. I'm like, I'm an adult. I want to talk about business. I want to have like a coherent conversation because I'm supposed to be this smart adult person and not speak like a child. And so then my pride gets in the way, you know, and that hurts. So so it's all this whole like language learning isn't just like learning words. There is so many levels to that process.
And it's a very like emotional process, which is different than I think.
That's what you don't expect.
You don't expect that. People think it's more just like learning how to do something, but it is very emotional. And I think you are not only setting an example to your kids, but to other people. Like even for me, like I always admire people who I can see the struggle, not like people who it just seems like, oh, it just came easy. I'm like, okay, good for you, that's awesome, but I'm not really that interested in like learning from you. We learn from example so much more than we learn from people just telling us what to do. That's why I love like hearing people's stories and the fact that you guys share so much like on Instagram about your whole life and the struggles, like not just like here we are perfect on the beach, whatever you talk about, all different things. And I mean, of course, Instagram, we don't really post about the negative things too much, but you know that it's not easy. And it's always like really refreshing to meet people that you see like, you know what, they are tough. They are going, they're still doing it, and they're not, you know, they don't give up easily. And that's truly like everything is that people who don't give up easily are the ones that are going to be successful.
So I'm glad I'm on this journey. I'm glad that I'm doing this. I remember in the beginning thinking, okay, you know, this is going to be hard, this will be a challenge. And then once we got to Brazil and once I really was learning, and it was slow and I was putting a lot of time and effort into it, really trying, and wasn't getting the results I thought would happen, you know, there were a lot of kind of moments of truth for me where I'm like realizing that this is a huge undertaking. And is this something I want to do? Is this something I want for my kids? And at the end of the day, yes. Absolutely. I would never change it, even though I would say that language for me is probably my biggest struggle in Brazil, because it's something that living there I see and I face every day. So sometimes I understand people, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I need medicine for my kids, or I need to make an important business decision. And if it's in Portuguese, you know, there's a lot of like, is this right? Am I translating it right? Do I need to bring in someone to translate? There's a lot of answers that I need, and it's still confusing, but even though I'm learning all the time. And everything else that comes with living in Brazil is also worth it. The people, the food, the places, the culture, and who we're becoming in this process is really changing us and changing my kids.
For the better, of course.
It is for the better. And I want to be a part of the bilingual club. You know, I really do think that's a cool thing.
You're already there. I think you're already there. You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, and I mean, you're just going to get better. You already know that.
I hope so.
Like, you're not going to get worse.
Okay,
that's not an option.
I think that's true.
You're going to keep getting better. And now I think you have a better understanding. You know, like sometimes when things come so easily to us, it's kind of like, I feel like if people just have one child and that child's like a saint. You know, I'm like,
Yeah.
they don't really understand that, like, not every child is the same.
Uh-huh.
So I think, like, sometimes if you have one that's a little bit harder to deal with than the other, you don't, like, judge other people in those situations.
You're absolutely right.
And I'm such a believer that, like, we are just taught lessons, and if we don't learn it the first time, it's like,
learn it again.
take it again.
And again.
Take it again.
Uh-huh.
Take it again until you actually learn the lesson. And I think when we expect things to be easier or expect things to be different in whatever way, and they're not, it's a humbling experience. Very humbling.
Yeah.
But it's so good. And if we don't learn it now, we're going to, you know, take another slap in the face down the road until you figure it out.
You really do have a lot of compassion for people in this country and for just the different learning styles and people at different abilities in life.
Yeah.
Like there's just, it opens up all this compassion because the struggle is real.
Yes.
Life is hard.
It's hard. But like you said, we can do hard things.
We can do hard things.
Yeah, and I think what's so cool, like even like with your kids, like our instinct sometimes is to not allow them to suffer, you know, like just protect them. Like, oh, that kid's being mean to you, I'll just protect you and keep you home. But we have to teach them as well by example and by, like, you can do hard things and it's really hard.
Yeah.
But then they grow up being more resilient, being more adaptable,
More
knowing how to
confident.
work hard, more confident. Because like even for you now compared to probably how you were 2 years ago, even though it's been a harder journey than you expected, you probably feel a lot more confident.
I do.
Because you're like, listen,
I know.
I've already been through that.
Yeah,
like,
been there,
bring
done
it.
that. Exactly.
Bring it on. Like, I can handle it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is really good.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're in this journey together. She speaks amazing Portuguese. You're my goal.
Okay. Oh, well, thank you. But you have to remember, I'm married to Brazilian.
Okay. Yes.
I lived in Brazil for 9.5 years, and not only that, I was obsessed with learning Portuguese. So it doesn't really matter like where you live or anything like that. I really wanted to learn Portuguese. And I also had a little bit of a different mindset. I was never like such a planner or strategic like you were, but I just knew that I would. It was never like a question in my mind like, oh, I never was like negative about it.
Yeah.
Which I think worked in my favor.
Yeah.
I always kind of felt good about where I was, which was helpful. I don't feel good about myself in a lot of other situations, but in that situation I felt good about it, which I think helped.
A positive
a lot.
mindset.
And in that we can change.
Yeah.
Because there are other areas of my life where I don't feel so good about myself that I'm really, really working on. And a lot of it is, I mean, it almost sounds kind of like weird brainwashing, but we can change.
Absolutely.
Like what we think about a certain thing to work in our favor.
Yeah.
And I think if people watching are those that have negative beliefs about their capabilities, like I always talk about like what you believe is what you achieve.
Absolutely.
So if you keep telling yourself, well, I'll never do that, or I'll never do this, that's really like putting up a barrier.
It's
like
true.
You'll only get that far.
It's true.
So you have to, think big, dream big.
Yes.
And coincidentally, like your body and your brain and all that stuff will follow suit.
Yeah.
So I think in your case, just like, and it may seem kind of fake at first and kind of strange, but really like from the depths of your soul, just like believe, like visualize yourself, you know, in whatever situation it is, like speaking Portuguese and feeling really confident about it. And I think it will take your studies to another level.
Yeah.
Because you'll feel like, yeah, I'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. And then it like happens. It's so weird.
No,
it really works.
It does work.
It totally works. And I know people are like, ooh, it's like woo-woo stuff. I'm like, I know, but it
has
works. Always worked for me. And in every situation.
Yep.
And the reverse. When I felt like, doomsday about something, when I've been really negative about something, it's like ruined the situation too.
Yes.
So we have to set ourselves up for success, mentally in a lot of ways.
I love that. That is perfect. It's
Thank
true.
you.
So with that, I want to thank Jackie for taking the time to meet with me, sharing her wisdom with us. And I hope that if you have any questions, if you want to learn language, if you want to learn English, check Jackie's channel out. All of the things she offers is amazing. My videos have English and Portuguese, so hopefully that will help you in some ways. But we can do this together. We can learn together, support each other. And thanks again, Jackie, for coming.
Thank you. This has been so much fun. I wish we lived closer.
I know. Come to Orlando.
Move next door.
Ciao.